Hi, this is Forrest here in the Ciro garage. Today we're going to be installing the new vent light for the new street glides. In order to do that, we need to take off the fairing and the seat. So let's get to it. The first thing we're going to want to do is plug everything in back here before we start the installation to make sure that they all work. So we're going to plug in to the Lightstrike COMMANDER here. And into the light itself. Everything's all color coded real nice so that it's hard to mess up if you're, you don't have to worry about being on the wrong side or anything like that. And now that everything's plugged in, we can see how it all comes on, and we'll just try the signals quick. And they both work. Everything appears to be functioning great. Now we're going to unplug everything and route the wires underneath the tank. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is remove these two screws here, and up on the front here, there's a couple of these little rubber protectors that are on the front of the tank. You'll take off and then remove the bolts from the tank, and you'll need an extra person. We're not going to lift it so far that you have to disconnect the fuel lines or anything like that. Get somebody to help you lift up the tank and kind of fish the wires right underneath. And we want to make sure that the brown goes on the right side and the purple on the left side as you're fishing them up through the fairing, to be able to make sure that that's where we want them to come up on the fairing itself. Okay, we're going to hook these up now. Again, the brown on the right and the purple here on the left. And then we'll be all set. These wires down in here. And then we can move to the front of the bike and start our installation up there. When we bring the wires up, we're going to fish them up and bring them up on each side here. Just kind of bring them up through the fairing here and stub them up near the top here so that we can plug them into the light later on. If you have more than one set of lights you're planning on putting in, you're going to want to put in the Y connectors. They plug in right here to the end of the wires, one on each side. Again, they're color coded so that everything is correct. Okay, the first thing we're going to do now that we have the fairing off and on the table here is loosen these four bolts up a little bit, because they've got like a little keyhole area, so you can slide the vent right off without taking these bolts completely off. So you loosen everything up a little bit, and you just slide this off. And then we're going to go flip it back over so that we can drill the holes. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is mark and drill the holes in the fairing. We put tape on here and drew a line kind of from the bottom of these screws here, or screw holes, and drew it across. And then we'll take this light and kind of mark on the inside of these wires a little bit. That's where, that's kind of, because we want to be able to get the wire down fairly directly below the light. Once we've marked on the inside of those wires, the reason we're putting it on the inside, we're going to drill the holes for the grommets, and we want them to be on the flat, not up onto the edge here. So that's approximately where they're going to be. Okay, we've marked the drill with the 9/16 hole, or at the 9/16 level, and then we're just going to drill these holes here. Now these holes aren't really that imperative that they're exactly in one spot. we can, there's a little bit of variance here. There's nothing underneath this fairing where this goes, where this sits on the bike. So we really don't have any problems with where the wires are going to come through. Okay, and now that we have the holes drilled, we're going to flip the fairing over and put the grommets and the light in. Now we're going to clean this with a little bit of ammonia cleaner and make sure it's all good and clean so we don't have any residue, so that the adhesive will stick well. Give it a few seconds to dry. And then we're going to take the light, and it's kind of an eyeball thing. We want to, you can kind of feel where that light fits nice and even on there and looks good. That's kind of where you want it to be. You can actually take a little piece of tape and mark where you're going to put it so that when you put it back in, it's going to be in the same spot. We want it to be even. You can, this way you can line it up with your tape on the back side, because once we pull this off, the VHB, once you stick it, it's stuck. There we go. And I'll line it up here. Make sure we're even on the ends. Make sure we're even with our tape here. And stuck. Press for a couple seconds. You can remove your tape now. And we're ready to install this. Okay, we're now that we've got the fairing drilled, flipped it over so we can get the grommets worked in. We want to work on the back side so that we don't scratch the fairing in any way. You just kind of work these grommets in. Helps if you get a little screwdriver. That's the reason we're on the back side, so that if we slip or something, we don't scratch our paint. You just work these around and into that hole, and that's all there is to it. Now you got the wire running there and the grommets into the hole. Do the same thing for this side. Once you have both the grommets in, you can just kind of pull the wires up through here so we can get the light about where it's supposed to be. Okay, we got the grommets in, we got the wires pulled through, we got the vent put on fairly loose, and now we're going to tighten it up and get the fairing back on the bike. Okay, helps to have an assistant for this part again, because we have to plug all the wires in. We're going to hook in our vent light to the corresponding colors left and right, and plug in our headlight, and then place our fairing back into place. And we're ready to finish reassembling the fairing in the reverse order of what it came off. Now that we've got everything all buttoned up, we'll do our final test here and make sure everything works well. And the signals. All looks good to me. And if you have any other questions, or you want to buy some Ciro lights, go to see your Ciro dealer, or go to Ciro3D.com. And this is Forrest here in the Ciro garage, and we'll see you down the road.